Hey everyone, so it's been a really long time since I've made any videos. And I felt that because I'm currently in the process of entering into another art competition, and because a lot of my inspiration for this project has been brought up, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to meet up to some certain people's beliefs or opinions in this video. So I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning now. This is my opinion on a lot of different things. Probably a lot of you aren't going to really like what you watch, but it's my opinion, so I'm allowed to have it. It's my free right to. If you don't like it, well then that's fine. That's up to you. But I feel a lot of these things are really good food for thought, and I think that it gives people somewhat of a slight different perspective than what everybody is handed. And I decided a little earlier on, I didn't get any response, but I had decided that I was going to call this video, as it goes along with my Create With Me videos, but it's going to be somewhat of an opinionated plus facts video as well. And I called it Creative Diversity. So what I'm going to state is that a lot of the facts that I am going to be stating in this video are ones that I have either known, have personally researched, or have come to know over the years. And before anyone tells me that I'm inaccurate and I'm not right, don't come at me, because I'm reading things to you guys and I'm telling you guys things based on how I know things. So again, a lot of people are not going to be probably very adamant to click that like thumbs up with some of the things I got to say in this video. So for the art competition that I'm currently going into, it's one that I have to put my submission in for the end of October, and it's called What Does Diversity Mean to You is the theme. Now, when I think diversity, I think of a lot of our specialized minorities that unfortunately are ones that get major hate and really shouldn't. As a human race, I wholeheartedly believe that no matter if you're a woman, no matter if you're a man, no matter if you're black, blue, no matter if you're purple, pink, or whatever you may be, whatever you identify as, therefore that is who you are. So then it doesn't give anyone else a right to tell you who you can and can't be. That goes out for all of my LGBTQ flag persons. That goes out for any of my transgender people, any of whoever you want to be, you be you. But as a society, for some whatever reason, for hundreds and hundreds of years, we have always decided that it is within our responsibility somehow that if we get a small minority or a small race of people, there's a bigger group of people that is looking for ways to bring them down, which I don't agree with. Going to specifics of what I've said is that, yeah, you know what? I'm a female. A lot of females nowadays are big feminists. But just as much as I agree with certain things, men have the same problems sometimes as well. And I think that there should be some unbiased with the things that happen, because a lot of things in day-to-day life are projected as being an only female issue, that it only happens to females, which is really not true. So a lot of times men and their emotions do get left out in some of the big issues that we have going on in the world today. So to get a little background and a little bit of actual facts flying here, the first ones that I'm going to talk about is the LGBTQ community, because myself, I am much part of it. I am a pansexual woman. But the thing is that it lays back to the fact that the first riot that was ever had was done by a gay black man, is how it started. So one of the things I don't agree with is that, as I said in the beginning of this video, you as a person have a right to identify however you want to identify. If that's how you want to identify, then you do that. It's not anyone else's responsibility or beliefs or how they religiously see things to have the right to sit there and criticize who you want to be. I don't agree with it. You are you. You can love who you want to love, and that's no one else's decision but you. And if no one else likes it, screw them. So, a lot of times, if you really look into a lot of the laws and different things like that, so yeah, there over the last number of years, even in the 32 years I've been alive, I've seen situations where there's been shoot-ups in gay bars, there's been bombings in gay bars, there's been people murdered for the fact that they are gay or fall within our flag spectrum. And it's ridiculous. All because somebody doesn't like them for being who they are or because they're a little different. Well, that's not their responsibility to make that decision. And it sickens me. It honestly sickens me. And it goes back to the fact of, like I was saying, that the first riot was created by a gay black man. And because he had created this riot, then obviously there was a whole bunch of turmoil that came after it. But I really don't agree with it. There has been people that currently in the States have been able to harm a gay person because there's still laws in the United States that state the Fear of the Gay Act, which means that if they somehow magically feel that they are being threatened by a gay person, they can retaliate violently, which I don't agree with. And there are still some states in the United States and other places in the world that hold up to this law. Plain and simple, we have these minorities for a reason. They're not just for awareness, but they're to actually show people that, yeah, we're here. And we're not going anywhere. We are who we are, and you can't change that. But along that lines, going into the... There we go. Small delay compared to what we were just talking about. Oh, okay, so we were talking about the riots. So, yeah, and then it comes down to not only in 2020, we've had a royal shit show of many different things going down, but then we also have the riot that killed a number of our black people in a very uncalled for, inappropriate, and derogatory way. There is no reason why George Floyd needed to be murdered in such the way he did. And again, yeah, like I said, my opinions and stuff like this, and the way I'm gonna speak openly and freely, is probably not the way most people are gonna like. Yeah, it was determined that he didn't really have the cleanest record. And yeah, he probably wasn't the best person or man. But did anyone bother to stop and think that maybe the reason why people do these crimes, no matter if it's a black man, an Asian man, a white man, a Philippine person, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter what race you are, every race still commits a crime. It's just unfortunately because stipulation over the number of years has basically put black persons at the forefront of being the big crime bringers, which I don't totally agree with. Because honestly, how many of you actually really sit back and think that maybe the reason between some of these crimes that are being committed is because these people are committing those crimes because they need to provide for their family, or they're completely down and out and they have no other option to do what they need to do in order to survive, or basically they're being put into a situation where the only way to get them out of that situation for either family or for their own well-being is to do something drastic. But no one ever looks at that. Do you guys also know that a lot of our seniors, and just to give you another food for thought here outside of this, but did you also know that a lot of our seniors, because none of them actually make enough money to reasonably survive behind like medication, paying the rent, and everything else that they have on this expense, it has been proven that some seniors actually go to the grocery store and buy cat and dog wet food So then that way they can eat, because they don't have enough money in order to survive. And before someone comes at me and says, yes, well, there's other resources for them, there's food banks for them, there's things like this. What about the seniors that have specific dietary issues? What about the seniors who can't just eat random stuff that is given to them by the food bank? What happens if they have to have a very specific diet that unfortunately old age pension or assistance cannot provide them because the foods are way too expensive? Then what? There always has to be a reason for these things to happen. It's not just because people are like, ooh, I'm gonna go commit a crime today. No, there's usually some kind of motive or backstory, and a lot of people only look at it as in the bad way rather than actually logically thinking about it, that there could have been legitimately a reason, an actual logical, positive reason for why they were doing it in order to commend their lifestyle. But they don't. So, you know, a lot of times over the years, unfortunately, our black persons have been ridiculed, have been subdued to a major amount of racism, police brutality, and there's no need of that either. We, again, as a race, we're supposed to be helping one another out. We're not supposed to be dragging each other down. And it makes me really upset to know that no matter what anybody does, no matter what one single person does, that there's always someone out there that is looking for a way to strip them down and bring them down to the lowest. And yes, you know, because we're talking about 2020 and some unfortunate things that have happened within it, plus my general opinions on a lot of different things that are going on right now, is that in a normal year, there is a number of suicides. Not to get the fact that in 2020, it has elevated people's ways to not be able to cope with their own mental health. Along with the fact of they're not able to get to their resources, which I've made other videos about, so I'm not going to go too much into it either. But a lot of people don't bother to look at what a person's actual, like, you know, mind chemistry of what's going on in their brains, of how it makes them create all these issues and how they react to certain things. And a lot of us are suffering mentally. A lot of us are suffering emotionally. And that's not fair to the populace. Like, not even just our regular populace, but in the world. So I talked about my opinions, a few of my opinions on the LGBTQ scale, and our black persons. And so another one I'm going to talk about is a huge one that's going on right now, is the Save Our Children one. And no one really understands how easy it is for a child to just be sitting with you 1 minute, and then the next thing you know, they're gone. That's something I was told from a very small child. Never leave my parent's side if we're in a public place. And sometimes your parent can be watching you like a hawk, basically eyes on you at any given time, but all it takes is that 1 second. And unfortunately, this year there has been a number of disturbing times where we really need to keep an eye out for our children, or there is stuff going down with children that just should never be happening. There's a huge one. I'm not going to mention the names of it just for the confidentiality of the family, but you should know who I'm talking about when I say there's been a large, very big one that was happening recently. Thankfully, she's where she needs to be. And then the last one that I have stated on my creative diversity, because again, I believe everyone has their place in society and everyone needs to have their voice, is our missing and murdered Indigenous women. No one really knows how many of our stolen sisters there really is. There's been a number of cases where they've all gone cold. These women are ranging from small girls to adults in their late 50s, and sometimes with some of the cases it just seems like they were forgotten on purpose, and that's not all right. There is so many things going on in this world. We don't need to make it worse. But what I'm going to do as part of this is I'm going to show you where I currently am in actually creating the canvas, because right now I still have a lot of work yet to actually fine detail everything to make sure everything looks good. But to show you how I integrated all four of those specific things that are in the awareness of each of those minorities and how I integrated them in the canvas. As you can see off to my left here, or right, depending on how you're watching this, you can see part of it. But I'm going to bring it over. So another things that I'll bring up as well is that on top of the fact that I've sat here and I've talked about my opinions on the Black Lives Matters, or I've talked about the LGBTQ, or I've talked about our missing and murdered Indigenous women, or our Save Our Children, and I've talked about the problem with suicides we have. Fun fact, but did anyone know that a lot of times, one of the other things that I'm extremely equally opinionated about is that when it comes to rape and things like this, is that women are not the only ones. There's actually statistics that states up to close to 90% of the men who have been abused or who have been raped don't actually come forward with the information, because they feel that they're not going to be heard, because it's gone on for so many years that, yes, it is a lot of the women who we've come forward, or some of us that haven't, but it's been very much in the media that it's mostly percentage towards women that come forward, but it does happen to men as well. And one of those other things that I'm not very unbiased about is the fact that this is the other one I was going to talk about, is the LGBTQ. So hundreds of years ago, I really don't understand somewhere between the fact of when this time happened and somehow between this time happened and somehow magically the LGBTQ scale, or even just anyone along those lines based on the areas and what they classified them as, became a faux pas. Because if you really look back into Roman and Greek culture, hundreds of years ago, multiple partners, same-sex partners, things like that weren't actually forbade. It happened quite often. So if it was an okay thing at that time, and a lot of people knew about it, and it was an alright thing, where the hell down the line did we figure out that it was a faux pas and that it couldn't be allowed? Did somewhere down the lines our societies like screw up and be like, okay, this is no longer okay anymore, so now we're gonna have to basically stupefy back into hundreds of years of friggin' history when this was an okay thing? But yeah, that's my opinion on that. And also the whole fact behind a lot of people go on about, oh, well, some places men do still make more than women in their jobs, or a lot of things, or men are more for the men jobs, or women can't do these jobs because they're more for the manlier sorts. But did you guys understand that during the times of the Viking and the Norse people, it was a woman's job to take care of house? She was the one that basically did all the finances. She was the one that was seen as more the favored sort out of the two people. And if the reasoning came down to the fact, like if the reasoning was there, she was actually legitimately able to divorce her partner and still get half of her things and everything else like this. But she was also, she was very highly sought out for because she was the one that took care of all of the finances and everything else like this. She was classified as equal. And she wasn't classified as someone underneath the man. So even in hundreds and hundreds of years earlier, we have seen these things that we've struggled with for the last few decades. And it shouldn't be, because we came from a part in the world where these things were okay, and then all of a sudden, somewhere down the line, they're not anymore. Which I don't understand. But, unfortunately, society and civilization has grown through the timeline however they decided to, and a lot of things make me feel like the world's getting stupider, it's not getting smarter. But a lot of these things, again, are my opinions. Don't take them to heart. This is the way I feel about a lot of different things. And I could honestly probably sit here and ramble on and go on as much as I damn well want. But you're only going to watch the video as much as you want, right? So, but thanks for listening to my ramble. But I will show you what the current works is on this. And it is going to go into a competition that is for the United States coming up. So right now, this is just a basic coat. And I don't know how well you can see it because my camera on the computer is not very well. But on here is our missing and murdered Indigenous women. Down here is the start of the LGBTQ flag. Over here is our Black Lives Matter. And up here is our Save the Children. So what part you can't see here is the child's foot because of the glare of the canvas. And down here is the flag. So this is the lesbian one. This is the regular rainbow. This is the flag symbolizing the bisexual flag. This is the trans flag, and this would be the pansexual flag. And of course, up here is the nation symbol for our missing and murdered Indigenous women. So yes, this is the start of the canvas. Again, take it or leave it. These are my opinions. Again, I'm not saying I'm a complete historian, and I'm not a know-it-all. So if you feel for whatever reason some of my opinions are not completely stated fact, that's all right. Again, like I said, this video is a lot on my opinions on a lot of different things. And my idea to kind of try to explain why I am doing the canvas the way I am. Because I believe any chance that we get, we need to make society aware of these minorities and how much they're frowned upon and how much it is that basically a lot of these don't have any ending answers right now. And as a society, as a population, we need to come together for once and actually work together rather than against one another and stop tearing people down. So before I get ramped up and all riled because of a lot of these different minorities definitely get my gears a rolling, I'm going to get off here for now. But thanks for watching my video.